Hi there, this is Josh from Literary Gladiators, and today I am here to introduce the 6th foodie book tag. First I created the cheese book tag, then the cookie book tag, then the butter book tag, then the pasta book tag, then the cannoli book tag. And today I'm going to be introducing the sausage book tag. Personally, I enjoy a delicious Italian sausage, especially when it's dry. And kind of like this right here, which this is quite delicious. The dried sausage, I don't know if it's a soppressata or salami, but it's with, there's some prosciutto, basil, and those look like tomatoes, which is going to be quite delicious, especially since sausage comes in so many forms and has so many flavors to it. It all depends on the particular sausage, and it's global, so this is going to be a pretty global book tag. So let's jump right into it. First one is Bratwurst, a powerful first line, which Bratwurst, brat in German means finely chopped, and wurst is sausage. So something that is well put together is how I'm looking at this. A little bit outside the box, but that's what we need sometimes. And for that, I chose the first line in Franz Kafka's The Metamorphosis. And it reads as follows. As Gregor Samsa awoke from unsettling dreams one morning, he found himself transformed in his bed into a monstrous vermin. It's really interesting to discuss that particular line because many translations have changed the word vermin to insect or bug, insect being more common, but it also leads to the idea of what Samsa looked like following his transformation, because Kafka left it pretty blurry because he didn't want an actual visual image to come with Samsa as the vermin. And it also leads to the idea that this particular work is much more philosophical and psychologically induced as opposed to something that is straightforward. Next one is Braun Schwager, which sounds like a pretty funny name, but it is a sausage. It is kind of like a liverwurst, and I've come across it at the supermarket. A work you enjoy that people often have complaints about. And in my case, it seems like it's a bit more mixed. It's either people love it for its merit, like I do, or cannot stand the fact that it is dry and the central character has no purpose whatsoever. And that is The Stranger by Albert Camus. And I personally enjoyed this. I feel that it is existential genius on Camus' behalf, and I feel that he's trying to convey the particular idea as to whether the fact that you really can't understand a stranger, and the fact that Meursault simply has that train of thought when looking more in depth. He possesses an indifference to the world around him. The next one is Frankfurter, a work from a familiar writer you feel more people need to read. People commonly know Frankfurters as the hot dog sausage, or simply Franks, or sometimes Wieners. But when it comes to a work that I feel people need to explore deeper into from a familiar author, It is Keep the Aspidistra Flying by George Orwell. Most people know about Animal Farm in 1984. Keep the Aspidistra Flying is one of his earlier works, and he concentrates more on money and the importance of money in one's life. I did a review on this that I'll leave down below, and I feel that Keep the Aspidistra Flying is something that should definitely not be overlooked. Next one is Knackwurst, a short but meaningful work. Knackwurst is a pretty stout but meaty-looking sausage. And for that, I chose Any Poem by Ko-un, because he's able to do so much with so little. 3 or 4 words can simply create a kind of magic with him, and I cannot recommend him enough. Next one is Salami, an old work that remains relevant today. Sometimes it takes up to 40 days for a salami to reach that eating ability. For that, I chose Dante's Inferno. I feel that there are themes in here that remain relevant to today, and I especially found his theory that treachery is a greater sin than violence. And I did a paper in World at One on that idea and connected it to Bernie Madoff. And next we're going to be going around the world a little bit, and we're going to start with chorizo. Your favorite work from or about a Spanish-speaking country. And I must honestly say that I really have not read a lot of works that are from or about Spanish-speaking countries, but I did read some poetry from Nicanor Parra, and I feel that he is quite interesting with the way that he writes and the way that he conveys himself. And he also proved to be influential to the Beats movement in America. I do want to read more from him, too. And I also want to read more from Pablo Neruda. I haven't really gotten to him as much, but I do want to explore what he has written. I've heard a lot of remarkable things about him, and he is a Nobel Prize-winning poet. Next one is Andouille, your favorite work from or about the American South. And I'm going to choose a book that I read earlier in the year, and that's A Time to Kill by John Grisham. I feel that after reading this, I began to possess a greater understanding of the American South and how there are things that remain relevant to this day about it. There were things in this novel that you would think have cleared themselves up, but unfortunately there are some negative aspects regarding race. And it was very thought-provoking. It made me think immensely. Next one is Kielbasa, your favorite work from or about Poland, which is something that really interests me because I'm looking to learn a bit more about Poland. And there's somebody that I want to read more from. It is the poetry of Czesław Miłosz. We went over Poor Christian Looks at the Ghetto on our show, and his poetry really makes me think, which is something that I like in reading poetry. But if it is something that I've already read, it's not a work of Polish literature, but it's very much about Poland, and that is Mas by Art Spiegelman. In this particular graphic novel, Art Spiegelman's father came from and lived in the area, and when he was locked away in the concentration camp, he was in Poland. But the way that the cats are the Nazis, the Jews, the mice are the Jews, And in this case, the Polish people are represented by pigs, which, as Dr. Bordelon had pointed out in a discussion that we had on Moss, represents their interest in sausage and those kind of meats that you would find at a Polish deli. And kielbasa is the sausage that is most associated with Poland. Next one is blood sausage. A work you are surprised you enjoyed. This isn't going to be something that is an incredibly unpopular opinion, but my choice is Macbeth by William Shakespeare. I'm actually not the biggest enthusiast for Shakespeare's plays. Jackie on our show enjoys them, but for me, I liked Shakespeare's sonnets, but to me his plays they're very well written, but I think Shakespeare's more of, he's better with words than he is with plot. But I feel that Macbeth caught my attention with how straightforward it was, and brutally honest in that deadpan kind of way. Next one is Pepperoni. A favorite writer of yours that leaves an aftertaste. For me, it's a good aftertaste. It's a very spicy one too, though. And for that, I chose Robert Walser, who wrote Jacob von Gunten, which was one of my favorite novels of 2014. His work is something that you need to really delve into. Once you get the point of what he's saying, you feel enlightened. And I really want to read more from him. Next one is Bologna. A mass market work you enjoyed. Because there are people, not myself, that enjoy bologna sandwiches or just eating bologna in general with a honey mustard. And for that I chose Along Came a Spider by James Patterson, which is the first in the Alex Cross series. I feel that Patterson writes best when he's writing about Alex Cross, and Along Came a Spider was a summer read, and I really had a good time with it. Next one is hot sausage. What is your favorite sausage? As I said earlier in the video, I like dried Italian sausage, so I enjoy a soppressata, whether it is spicy or sweet. I like salami, especially on an Italian sandwich. And I do like pepperoni, even though pepperoni is American and not Italian. And the last one is vendor. Who do you tag? I'm going to be tagging 10 people for this one. And they are Steve from Steve Donahue, Alyssa from Sushi Dragon Master, Amy from the Dusty Bookshelf, Grace from Grace Libby. All four of these people have showed active interest in the foodie book tags, so Adrian and Dalton from Strip Covered Lit. I'm really interested to hear what you have to say. Peter from Peter Clark the Writer, who has said that he wants to do all of my foodie book tags. Have at this one, my man. Sophie from Books on Bread, who is an immensely underrated booktuber, who I feel sparks excellent discussion. Julia from Simply Jules. Jordan from The Bookie Babe, who really did a stellar job on the pasta book tag. And Janelle from The Page Turner. Another Amy-esque kind of a booktuber. Very insightful one, indeed. Thank you for tuning in to this sausage book tag. If I did not tag you, by all means, I encourage you to complete this tag anyway. And for now and as always, I encourage you to keep reading.